Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, we have yet another evolution coming to Clash Royale in the next season. We have the Evolved Cannon. So basically perfect for 2.6 players, we have both the Evolved Cannon coming, and the Evolved Musketeer as well. The Evo Cannon will come around halfway through the next season, most likely, and the Evo Musketeer will be in the Battle Pass. So guys, the Evo Cannon, you will get to after cycling 2 normal cannons, and it's exactly like a normal cannon, except it basically has this huge bombing effect, where it just spawns a bunch of these bombs everywhere around it, more or less. You guys will see pretty soon, because cannon is actually pretty cheap, so even though it does take a couple cycles to get to the Evo, you do get to it quite often per match. And guys, I'll be going over these games. I didn't commentate them live, but I'll just be telling you guys my thought process, and we'll be kind of discussing the Evo Cannon. So guys, honestly, I thought Evo Musketeer was fairly weak, a bit more on the weaker side, but I think Evo Cannon might be a little bit of the opposite, might be a little bit on the stronger side. The bombing effect, like each bomb from the bombing effect does a lot of damage, and it also does have knockback as well, so it's pretty crazy. And guys, the craziest part is that you can now actually play an offensive cannon, which is pretty insane. I never thought I would see the day where Clash Royale would bring an offensive cannon. Look, he went for it! It just killed my archers! Did you guys just see that? It just killed my freaking archers in one shot. Yeah, that was crazy. Like, that was literally an offensive cannon. I've never seen that before. I went for the guards. He actually went for a very smart barrel on the inside. Well played to him on that one. I did go for the archers just to make sure the princess would die here. But yeah, man, Evo Cannon is pretty crazy. So it's going to be really good to go for your cannons up high. See, look, guys, I was just hovering it so you guys could see the blast radius. Like, each one of those circles is where a bomb will basically spawn in when you play the Evo Cannon. But after those bombing effects, it does become just like a completely normal cannon again after that. The reason why I think it'll be really good is because cannon is already pretty broken as it is right now, because it's so good for countering basically the entire meta. So now that it has a good Evo as well, I think it should be really broken, even though the Evo is probably only a bit above average. So look, I went for my offensive cannon here. It did so much damage to his cannon, fully killing it with the arrows, and his Goblin-Stein took quite a bit of damage too, but unfortunately Goblin-Stein is insanely tanky, so only ended up dying to my balloon death bomb. I was actually losing at this point, so I wasn't sure if I could actually make a comeback. I was thinking maybe I could try to get to another Evo Cannon, because yeah, man, it's actually really hard to avoid it. There's very few troop placements you can actually do to avoid an Evo Cannon on offense. Like, if you play an offensive Evo Cannon, they can't really place their buildings and stuff like that to distract your cards in all that many placements. Since I knew Adrian had no big spell here, I was thinking maybe I should play it more like a minor chip deck instead of really being too aggressive with my balloons, because he had quite a bit of air defense, but I just decided to, you know, just play kind of calm and reactively for right now. I still wanted to get my miners off and stuff like that, but I knew I might need a bit of a balloon connection to actually end up winning this game. I was trying to always defend the barrels with the snowballs just because I wanted to save my arrows. And guys, I got to my Evo Cannon once again. And guys, keep in mind, this deck is not even that cheap, so imagine if you're playing 2.6 or something. Imagine how many Evo Cannons you're going to get to. Man, having the Evo Cannon and Evo Musketeer in a single deck, 2.6, I feel like you're going to get to be able to snipe down so many buildings so easily. Yeah, I think I went for an... Okay, I went for archers here, but I had my Evo Cannon at the ready. His Evo Cannon actually pushed my balloon, guys. The Evo Cannon has knockback on those bombs, so it actually pushed my balloon. I went for my own Evo Cannon here, and man, it killed everything. It splashes way more than you think it's going to splash. Like, you see those little bombs that are going to drop everywhere? You see, like, the, you know, the screen, like, highlighting where the bombs are going to drop, but the actual radius of each of those bombs is actually a little bit bigger than you might think, I feel like. I was feeling really good at this point, but I knew he could also go for a pretty good cannon. Wasn't really too worried about it, though, because I feel like his deck didn't really have as good synergy as mine did. Evo Cannon is pretty broken, but defensive Evo Cannon is pretty good, too. The Doctor actually was just barely able to get on the cannon of his, so that was pretty nice. Went for some arrows because I had my 3-card cycle of the Goblin-Stein going. I played another miner, and at this point I pretty much knew it would be game over. The Evo Cannons were actually really good, not like the Musketeer that didn't really help much at all in the other video. I had to try Evo Cannon in Royal Hogs Earthquake. I just know Evo Cannon will be so broken in this deck. Because it's actually really good to go for high cannons a lot with this deck, because when I'm facing something like a Tesla deck, I'll always go for these high cannons just to prevent them from going for a high building to avoid my Earthquake, so I just know Evo Cannon will be so broken in this deck. Especially for offense, but even the defense is going to be kind of crazy. It's actually going to be pretty decent against stuff like Lava Hound, I'm sure, as well, because it's going to have those bombs to push balloons back and everything like that, so that should be really good. And Adrian actually ended up going for the exact same deck as me, surprisingly. And guys, I took out Evo Skeletons. I think Evo Skeletons really are not very good, so I'm pretty sure it'll be a no-brainer for pretty much everyone to play Evo Cannon. I think a good nerf they could do to the Evo could be to maybe remove the knockback of each of the bombs, maybe tone down the damage just a little bit. I think it shouldn't really be too hard to balance the Evo Cannon. And I think with the Evo Cannon, it's going to kind of create a meta where people are going to start cycling their cannons in advance, kind of like a tombstone. Just because you get to that Evo, which is really good. And probably kind of necessary in some matchups as well. I got a really good cannon there hitting his Archer Queen, but I didn't have too much for the Evo Skeletons. I knew I'd have to take some damage on the left side, but luckily the right side was fine, and I only took a couple of queen shots. I actually got a nice damage lead. I had my Evo Cannon ready here. Yeah, man, it's just kind of crazy. It spawns a total of 9 missiles, or big grenades, so covers basically the entire map. And guys, I heard actually, if you take one tower down, and you're in a one-to-one situation, you can actually play your Evo Cannon in the pocket, and it does like, I think like 400 or 500 tower damage, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, so I went for my Evo Cannon here. You kind of have to make sure you time it correctly, though, because the bombs can easily miss and not really do anything if you don't get your cannon placed at the perfect time. I was feeling pretty good here. I just had a small damage lead, and that's really all you need in a mirror matchup like this one. I got my queen ability after him. You always want to go for your queen ability second if possible, because then your queen is going to be able to kill theirs. Just kept on spamming here. He actually completely messed up his delivery. I don't know what Adrian was doing there. Maybe he just misclicked or something like that. And guys, do make sure to check out Adrian. He does have a YouTube channel. Just search up Adrian Piedra. I always say I'm going to link it in the description, but I always forget, so I'm just going to assume I'm probably going to forget this time too, because, yeah, I don't know. Anyways. He was cycling his high cannons as well, kind of just using a similar strategy to me. I went for my queen ability when he did, and I knew my queen could take out his pretty quickly. I went for some piggies here because I knew if he tried to go for a cannon up high, my queen would kind of block that a little bit. He still decided to do so, but hey, at least my queen killed it. So I was up quite a bit at this point. And guys, I think the Evo Cannon will change the playstyle of this deck quite a bit, because a lot of the time you want to just defend things with like a delivery and a log, for example. Like, if they play piggies, you might want to defend it with delivery log. But now that there's an Evo Cannon, you have more of an incentive. I can't really speak English, but I'm trying to say more of an incentive to play your cannon on defense rather than your other cards to get to the Evo. So yeah, I think it's going to be better to play like Ice Spirit and a high cannon opposite lane against piggies instead of defending with delivery, if possible. I went for a really nice offensive cannon here. It didn't actually hit his Evo Cannon. So yeah, apparently some placements are kind of immune, but I'm pretty sure if I kind of tweaked the placement of my Evo Cannon there, I could have actually hit his Evo Cannon with my ability. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's probably going to have a lot of random interactions that we don't really know about yet, or don't really expect. These high cannons were really good for me because it always blocked his cannons, kind of blocked him from going for high cannons. He ended up going for it anyways, but my cannon was able to kill his pretty quickly and force out a few extra elixir with that delivery and everything. Man, I just can't even comprehend how broken cannon is right now. It's actually so good. But I don't think it really needs a nerf though, because before this meta, it was just not used at all, but simply thanks to Goblinstein being so broken, as well as the Pekka, it's just everywhere, out of nowhere. I went for the Evo Cannon here. I knew it would get some nice bombs. It actually was able to somehow clip the piggies there. I knew something would hit, but I didn't really expect it to do as much work as it did. I actually got one piggy nibble, and I decided to go for the high opposite lane cannon here. I had my Evo Ice Spirit to help out as well, so I knew I'd be fine against this piggy's push. And Queen was just completely carrying too. I feel like I definitely prefer Queen in this deck over something like an Evo Musketeer. I don't think Evo Musketeer could really take the role of Queen in a deck like this. The thing about Evo Musketeer is that you don't get the 3-card cycle for it. I got a really nice Evo Cannon here. Ended up killing his Archer Queen, preventing his ability from going off, which was really cool. And yeah, I pretty much knew it was game over at this point. There was no way he was going to get enough damage in the little time he had left. So yeah, Evo Cannon, man. I'm feeling like it's going to be very good. In the next one against Adrian Piedra, I decided I'd probably have to pie him in the face. And so comment down below some clapping hand emojis if you found that funny. When I saw the Earthquake, I was thinking he might have Piggy's Earthquake again, which is an okay matchup for this deck. But then I saw the Firecracker and I was like, okay, it's definitely going to be Hog Rider, and it was Hog Rider. Unfortunately, my cannon was very far out in cycle, so I had to defend without it, which I knew wouldn't go too well. I did take 2 Hog hits, which was a pretty bad start for me. Hog is actually pretty strong right now, surprisingly, but I think piggies are just a little bit better, so that's why I still don't play Hog EQ, even though I think it's actually relatively good this meta. Also, the Goblin-Stein in Hog EQ is really broken because people always defend Goblin-Stein with the cannon, but then you just Earthquake it. Unfortunately for piggies decks, they don't really work the same with Goblin-Stein. Doesn't really fit as well as it does in Hog Earthquake. He went for his Goblin-Stein. I kind of just had to go for a cannon as well, even though I knew he might just go for an Earthquake. Yeah, he did Earthquake. Couldn't really do much about it, though. Could have maybe went for a cannon up high, but I don't know if that really would have worked. I was thinking he might Hog Rider here, so I would have to go for the defensive drill, but he didn't end up going in right away, so I just went for the offensive drill then, just to try to force him to play some defense. And I did have my Evo Cannon already at this point. I don't think Evo Cannon's going to be particularly good on offense in this type of deck like Goblin Drill, where it's more so just like the offensive drills and you don't really want to make any big pushes, really. But I don't know. I mean, it could still work with the Goblin-Stein sometimes. I could definitely see the Evo Cannon pairing super well with the Goblin-Stein decks, which are pretty much... I mean, which is pretty much every deck in the game right now at this point. But hey, it did defend the Hog Rider pretty easily. With Evo Cannon, I think even if they Earthquake your cannon, you're still going to pretty much fully counter the Hog Riders most of the time, so that is pretty good. At least if you do hit your bombs correctly. If you push the Hog the wrong way or something, maybe that could mess it up. I went for a Bomber up high here, just wanted to kill that Firecracker quickly. I did end up getting a pretty nice splash, but I was down quite a bit. I finally went for the high cannon here, but he went for his Evo Cannon. The thing is, even if you don't have your cannon in cycle when they play a Hog Rider, you can always go for a defensive drill. I didn't even really need to in this case because I got back to my cannon just in the nick of time. And I did want to take the King Tower activation. I knew that would help me quite a bit in this matchup. Even though I was already down a bit, I felt like I could still have a chance in, you know, triple elixir and late double elixir. I got a really nice Evo Cannon here. Didn't quite splash the Doctor, but it actually took a lot of HP off of that Goblin monster. And I was starting to come back slowly but surely. His Firecracker I couldn't really do too much about right there. Predicted the Hog Rider pretty nicely, so I was thinking I'd take no Hog hits, and I think I was correct. Yeah, just went for a drill here. I simply needed chip damage at this point, and to keep on spamming my cannons as well, to get some nice defensive Evo Cannons. He ended up kind of messing up against my drill, and he played an Earthquake on nothing, really. I don't know why Adrian did that. I think that might have just been a misclick or something. And I already had my Evo Drill here, so I just spammed the Evo Drill. You know, guys, Evo Cannon could actually be super nice against Hog Riders sometimes, because imagine you're defending a whole big Hog pusher, then there's this pesky Firecracker, but you just play the Evo Cannon, and then it just kills everything, kills all the Firecrackers, because it does easily one-shot a Firecracker. And even if your opponent has, like, multiple Firecrackers stacked up, the Evo Cannon will probably just kill every single one of them, which is actually really good. And imagine how the Evo Cannon could do against a big, like, I don't know, a big giant graveyard or a big golem push or something. That could be amazing. I was defending so well here at this point. Took, yeah, no damage once again. The 3-card cycle of the Goblin-Stein was definitely really broken. I didn't really play Goblin-Stein too much while testing the new evolution, but I probably should have because Goblin-Stein is still so broken. Got some really nice Goblins right on the tower there. I knew he had Earthquake here against my cannon, but I knew for sure that my King Tower would also just probably save me either way. He went for an ability. Didn't really get too much value out of it. My Bomber defended super well, too. And I just played an Evo Cannon here on defense, and I knew there was no way he was going to break through this. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the new Evo in the comment section and what you would do to balance it out. Yes, I got the very nice win here. Alright, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!